Now, what's interesting is that Marvel just relaunched Ultimate Spider-Man. If you remember back in the early 2000s, of course, there were problems. Everything was kind of failing. So they relaunched their universe with this Ultimate Universe. They had Brian Michael Bendis write Ultimate Spider-Man, which is basically just teenage Peter Parker at the time. Now, Bendis actually was doing some pretty good work, and I don't like to praise Bendis too much, but I really actually enjoyed his early Ultimate Spider-Man issues. He brought Spider-Man into like a more cinematic pose. He did a lot of classic stories. He introduced the classic villains. And it was fun watching a teenage Peter and Mary Jane talk, in the hallways of the high school and all that, and not have Spider-Man grown up on that level. Of course, Mark Miller did the Ultimates, which of course the Avengers ended up being based upon, if you look at it, and he absolutely crushed it on the Ultimates, which made this universe stick around for a long time. It looked like, in ways, it was going to replace the mainstream Marvel Universe because the sales were just so much better. They were fresh stories by fresh writers. And of course, that all got botched towards the end of it. And it got replaced as Miles Morales became the entire thing for the Ultimate Universe. And nobody cared about anybody else except for the Black Spider-Man all of a sudden. But now it's getting relaunched. And of course, Jonathan Hickman is a pretty good writer. At the end of the day, he does pretty good world building. For something like an Ultimate Universe, he can make his own universe and do something different, and of course make something that fans are interested in. Now, whether he finishes it and actually finishes a complete story is a different thing. He definitely left X-Men in shambles after he reset that world there. He did pretty good with Fantastic Four, though, when he did his run on that. And of course, he's been delving into the Ultimate Universe before. But apparently this is selling. It's the one comic book that's actually selling out there in the mainstream media. And we're going to get into why in just a minute. And this is actually coming from a woke comic fan talking about this. They almost admit that everything we've been saying is right this entire time. It's absolutely crazy. Now let's get into the news. My name's John Delarose. I'm a #1 best-selling author and award-winning comic creator. I would urge you to get on my Subscribe Star if you like classic storytelling the way that Marvel and DC don't do it anymore. I am producing this and I'm putting it up on my Subscribe Star. You guys who are here are like my core people who help me build these comics, get things going. And of course, my goal here is to get about 300 people on here so that we can produce monthly comics to compete with Marvel and DC. That is what's going to happen at the end of the day. We're about a 10th of the way there. It's doable. We have a lot of people who watch this channel. And if you guys want to support an alternative, I really appreciate you guys supporting us. That link's in the description below. I also have books on Amazon and in my own web store. You can get, and I can ship those out to you as well. Thank you so much for supporting. So here's what is being said. This is from Emma Talks Comics. And as you can see, she, her, autistic, trans, bisexual, Jewish right here. I guess those are some pretty redundant things. But here it is, 2024 just started, but it's doubtful there will be any bigger releases than Ultimate Spider-Man #1. That's kind of crazy. It's selling out everything. It's critically acclaimed, and it's doing the impossible by bringing new readers in. Let's talk about why. Here it is. Hickman factor and wish fulfillment. There's been debate on what's the biggest reason for its success. The writer in Ultimate Universe's architect Jonathan Hickman, or Peter and MJ being a married couple. These things are not separate factors. What's the latest major relaunch? Hickman spearheaded X-Men. And it's like we're currently in an age where the Spider-Man book does little more than make fans angry by not just going against what they want, but spitting on it. X-Men has also been at its lowest for the same reasons. Everything's been crazy. If you look at X-Men, it's all Kathleen Kennedy put a chick in it and make it gay, and it's been very lame across the board for the last several years. They've had Teenie Howard writing it and spearheading it, who's been one of the worst, of course, SJWs in the industry. We know that. Total diversity hire. And on Spider-Man's front, it's been absolutely crazy as Mary Jane's been having a kid with a black dude cucking Peter Parker. It's been something that is absolutely just offensive to anybody who likes Spider-Man to read. The writing's been terrible, and it's like they don't even try anymore. So here it is. What makes Peter fans upset versus what makes X-Men fans upset is quite different, but misery is the key factor. Hickman understands that when a fandom is miserable, giving them their dream will drum up excitement, and putting a dark twist on the dream will maintain it. Very true. Now, Joshua Williamson said quite the opposite. He actually was saying that these Marvel companies and DC companies, in a recent interview, actually do make the characters miserable and the fans miserable intentionally. They say that hate buys get people into the stores and check it out. Now, it's a very short-term thinking. You'll get a little boost as people check it out and they rubberneck what's going on. But as we see, it creates a steady decline as readers just check out over the years. Hickman's trying something different here. And now here it is. In Ultimate Spider-Man #1, fans get everything they want. Peter is happy, successful adult. He's married to MJ, and they have 2 adorable kids. This is why I liked Spider-Girl from the MC2 back in the day. Tom DeFalco spearheaded this. It was originally a what-if issue. What if Spider-Man had a daughter? And what happened was she inherited the powers. Peter and MJ were a married couple. They ended up with a kid, Benji. And it was really cute. So this has kind of been done before. And by the way, that was one of their most successful titles back in the 90s. It got into Scholastic and these digest editions. They made tons of money off of that. And people loved it. It was wholesome. It wasn't dark. It just perpetuated Spider-Man. And Spider-Girl actually just had a good, solid superhero basis. So I don't expect Hickman to do exactly the same with this, because Hickman does put a dark twist on things, as Emma is mentioning here. But, that sort of setup is a good thing, and people do want it. First, Spider-Man fans aren't against Peter suffering. I'd argue you can't be a Peter fan unless you enjoy that. Hell, it's why I personally have never been too into him in the past, but they do want Peter they can root for. And a failure with nothing to lose isn't that, which is what Zeb Wells has been doing recently. It's not self-contained. If you've been keeping up with the setup for this universe, this issue makes it very clear that it's a dark world, and standing against its oligarchs, Peter's putting himself and those he loves in danger. Ultimate Spider-Man isn't going to get turned on, because the goal isn't to make fans suffer, it's to make fans care again. And the dark moments actually hit. Imagine if most writers did this. Most writers just sit out there and they're like, I'm going to subvert expectations. I'm going to trans your favorite character. And they just intentionally sit there and piss off and piss on fans. And that's what's been happening over the last 10 years. If you go online, these people are absolutely rude all the time. They just shit on everybody who loves comics as if they're somehow better than people who love comics because they're making minimum wage writing for Marvel and DC. It's absolutely crazy. And then they're out there, of course, afterwards begging for money on Cash App and PayPal. That's what we've seen from all these woke writers over the years. Hickman's one of the few that doesn't seem to have problems on that regard. So this is a very interesting thread at the end of the day, and this is just one issue of Ultimate Spider-Man so far, so we don't know exactly where he's going to go for it, but that setup right away is what people want. It's selling because people want Spider-Man to be Spider-Man. They don't want Miles Morales to be Spider-Man. They want Spider-Man to have Mary Jane and actually have that fulfillment, because when they took that away, they took the Spider marriage away, they destroyed the character and made it unfun for everybody at the end of the day. Marvel can learn from this, but they're not going to. Unfortunately, it's going to be relegated to the Ultimate Universe. I just hope one day they start to do something different and care about their properties again and care about their fans again. In the meantime, we do care about our fans. We are trying to write stories you love, and I please urge you again, please support the Subscribe Star. Get the books on Amazon and in my YouTube store that's down below. I really appreciate you guys for being there and supporting independent products. You guys are awesome. And we will be building something even better and bigger this year. Wait for it. It's going to be cool. Leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Hit that like and subscribe button. We'll be back soon.